failure is simply feedback, guys. Like, it is nothing bad. It is nothing to feel shameful about. Do not attach your worth to failing at something, because failure is feedback. You take the feedback, you analyze it, and you come up with a new solution. You come up with a new plan. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sierra, and here on my channel we are all about creating a life you love. So with that being said, we're gonna hop into today's video. Today we are chatting 5 powerful lessons that I have learned in my 20s. I am walking, strutting, blooming into my 30s next year, and I'm actually like super excited for it. So we are at the end of the year, so I've been kind of just doing a bigger reflection than I'll usually do. Like, I've really just been sitting back reflecting on the past decade that I've had, and really just realizing like the growth that I've experienced and just like the awesome place that I'm in today, mentally, physically, emotionally. Like, I'm in a great place. And I think it is due to these powerful lessons that I have learned. Now, if you're a person who is not in their 30s, if you're a person who is older than 30s, approaching 30s, like, this video is going to be beneficial to anyone. If you're not in your 30s or you're past your 30s, share it to some young adults. These are things that I wish I knew at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I feel like at 25, the light bulb started to turn on a little bit. But that boy is on now, and I just am able to really look back at everything kind of just like full circle, and I'm just proud of myself. So I want to give you guys these tips so you can share them along with your network, take them in for yourself. It's never like, you're never too old to not do better for yourself. You're never too old to learn a new lesson. So let's go ahead and hop into the video. So first things first is to prioritize your peace. Peace has literally become like one of my number one priorities here lately. I personally grew up in a household that was very chaotic, grew up experiencing a lot of bullying, and like in my mid-20s experienced a cancer scare. I had toxic relationships. So this really just led me to a space to where I learned that I had to protect my energy. We cannot control the external factors. We cannot control people around us, the actions they do, but we can control what we are there for and what we accept. And that starts with protecting your peace. A big reason that I even kind of shifted into this space was I experienced this cancer scare at 25. I was kicked off my parents' insurance, and it was a very scary time for me. However, I was really grappling with the fact that, like, how the heck did I have something growing in my body, and like, why the heck do they think it's cancer? Like, that was really what was pissing me off. And I'm just like, I'm so young. Why am I experiencing this? And when I look back at my life, it was chaotic. My nervous system was shot. When your body is so stressed out like that, you are going to be sick. You are making your body a breeding ground for illness. And that means you need to protect your peace. You need to protect your energy. And people say this like it's such this woo-woo thing, and it's just like this, oh, love, peace, life kind of thing. No, this is like legit. You have to protect your peace. And I think my biggest piece was, me kind of doing a little bit of research. This might be woo-woo. This might be spiritual. Everybody may not agree with this, but the fact that I had a cancer scare on my thyroid, I had a nodule growing on my thyroid. They say your thyroid is your throat chakra, and it gets blocked when you do not stand up for yourself, when you are a people pleaser, when you do not speak your truth. And just to look back at my life, toxic relationships, bullying, people pleasing, I was not speaking my truth. I was holding so much in energetically. And like, once I got all that cleared up, I was like cancer free, hormones back working. I'm like, yeah, no, I have to create a safe space for my body, for my nervous system. And that starts with prioritizing my peace. I like to tell people, I think of myself as this very delicate flower. And flowers do not thrive in chaos. So if you are not treating me well, I will not be around for it. I'm sorry. I'm just not. Like, that is the thing. We cannot control how people act. We cannot control what people say, but we can control what we are there for. Like, you don't have to deal with that. And I wish I knew this a long time ago. And a lot of people grow up and their parents teach them this stuff. But a lot of times people's parents are people pleasers. It's just like this generational cycle of just trying to be the good person, trying not to start like chaos and ruckus. But baby, speak your truth. Be the chaos, be the ruckus. Because if you are compromising your peace for someone else's, it's bound to make you miserable. So prioritize your peace. Okay, so number 2 is going to be embrace being uncomfortable. And that's honestly like such a scary thing to say out loud. And it's like, it can probably even make you feel uncomfy just to even think about it. Like, embrace being uncomfortable. What sense does that make? When you think about it, we all go through these life's challenges, and sometimes you can be the victim or you can just straight up be the victor. We cannot sit and sulk in the challenges of life. Like, we just cannot. That is not going to get you anywhere. A thing that I actually started practicing here lately, and I tell this to my friends, even though I'm pretty sure they don't want to hear it in the moment, because if somebody said this to me in a moment to where I was uncomfortable, I'd be like, girl, leave me alone. But like, ask yourself, what are you supposed to be learning in this season? Instead of just falling pity to everything that's so bad in your life, be like, okay, God, like, what's the deal? What am I supposed to be learning? And if you're not like a religious person, like, really sit back and reflect. Like, because sometimes we go around the same mountain a billion times, go through the same lesson a billion times. And it's like, God, like, if you caught the lesson the first time, I wouldn't have to keep sending it in different fonts. Like, just figure it out. Like, figure out what you're supposed to be learning. So I say, really take the time to reflect and kind of just pivot and really think about it. Like, what do I need to be learning in this season? And when I say like embrace the uncomfortable parts of life, something that I constantly always think back to is like, I literally moved across the country by myself. It doesn't get any more uncomfortable than that. I didn't have any type of network or support system here, but luckily, like, God really showed out. Like, he really set me up with a nice church, nice like people around me. I'm slowly but surely, making my way here in Dallas, but I'm so happy that I made this move. I'm so happy that I spent the time being uncomfortable, because the biggest lesson that I learned is like, you can do hard things and you can honestly do them by yourself. Obviously, God is always by my side, but that was one of my biggest things. It's just like, I always felt like I had to bring somebody with me to do something. But this was a season where God was like, you got this, girl. You can do this all by yourself. So I highly, highly, highly encourage anybody to really just look at life in that kind of way. Figure out, what lesson am I supposed to be learning in this season? Even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's scary, like, really just reframe the way you kind of just think about being uncomfortable. Because at the end of the day, there's going to be moments in your life where you're always uncomfortable, or you're going to be uncomfortable for a season. But learn how to just live in the moment, embrace what you need to embrace, learn the lesson that you need to learn, so you can just kind of keep on going, like move along to the next thing. So number 3, which probably should be number 1, is actually self-love is a daily practice. And honestly, I'm not going to hold y'all up. I didn't learn this lesson till I was 29 years old. Like, just learned this lesson. This lesson is very fresh in the flesh for me. I actually been reading this book I mentioned in my last video, I Love Me More by Jenna Banks. I mean, I started practicing this before I read the book, but the book kind of just really gives it to me in like plain blank words. Like, this is what it is. You need to love yourself. You need to put yourself first. A lot of times when we think self-love, people like label it as selfish. People even may label it as, oh, it's just kind of like bubble baths, spa trips, affirmations. And like, people get real heavy on the affirmations, but it is more than even affirmations. Self-love is really like setting the standard for yourself, being disciplined, learning to forgive yourself and show up for yourself. A lot of times people do not realize that when you don't set standards, you are making room for anything to happen. And if you don't have those standards early on in life, like, you're just going to keep on going on and going on and going on with stuff that does not make you feel peaceful, stuff that does not make you feel good, stuff that does not benefit you. You are going to go along. You're going to go along in life dealing with things you don't need to deal with because you did not set standards. And setting standards is a part of self-love. It's a part of loving yourself. When I say like it's a daily practice, think about you need to water yourself every single day. If you have a plant, if you have seeds, you need to make sure you are watering your plant daily or whatever, the directions say, because the future of this plant depends on how you water it, how you nurture it. And honestly, anything that is not like watered or nurtured, it's going to die. So think about yourself like that. Like you need to be watered. You need to be nurtured. You need to be held accountable. And like other people aren't going to always hold you accountable. You have to learn how to hold yourself accountable. And that's a part of self-love as well too. But you have to be able to show up for you. You have to be able to put yourself first, because at the end of the day, this is your life. And you came into this world alone. You're going to leave this world alone. And you don't want to go through life having all these what ifs or just being in these crazy situations simply out of the fact that you just straight up did not love yourself enough. Number 4 is going to be don't wait to start. I actually just made a TikTok about this, and it is really the fact that the fear of failure is holding you back. I know y'all seen that TikTok that went around and it said like, the fear of looking stupid is holding you back. And it's so true. But we have to reframe how we think about failure. Failure is simply feedback, guys. Like it is nothing bad. It is nothing to feel shameful about. Do not attach your worth to failing at something, because failure is feedback. You take the feedback, you analyze it, and you come up with a new solution. You come up with a new plan. You figure out if this even works for you, and you might need to pivot. That is how you need to look at failure. You need to reframe your mind about it, because failure is inevitable. It's going to happen. And guess what? Honestly, if you fail at something and you try again, and you fail at something and you try again, and then you figure out like, oh, I can do it this way. Like you are learning, like you are having plenty of learning opportunities versus someone who just kind of gets it all the time. And then that moment they might fail later on down the line, and they will lose their shit because they never failed at something. Nobody ever told them no at something. So it's like when you have that opportunity and space of failure, embrace it and just really look at it like, okay, what didn't work here? How can we make this work for us? Or scratch this whole plan. We need to do something else. So that is how you have to look at failure. And even just to kind of like throw this back on myself when it comes to don't wait to start. I really feel like God has called me to be able to speak to women, speak to young adults, just about like self-love and self-worth and weight and really just learning to take care of yourself. But I had a hard time getting there. Like honestly, I had a very hard time getting there because I just felt like I wasn't good enough. I had not arrived to the destination yet. I literally just finally lost the weight. So I'm like, how can I get online and talk about self-worth when I feel crappy? I don't like the body that I'm in. And it's just like, I feel like I spent a cycle of like self-sabotaging as well, because it was like it's easier to self-sabotage and be like, oh yeah, you knew you wasn't ready, I know you weren't ready. Like that is easier than actually trying and failing and people seeing you fail. So what I am doing in this season is I am starting a community and a podcast called Season to Season, and it is truly just about helping women create a life they love and really bloom into every single season. Bloom is my 2025 word, but like seriously, like really think about it. There are people who spend a good portion of their life hating it and just falling victim to their circumstances. In reality, we all are dealt a deck of cards, and it really just depends on how you play it. So we got to figure out how we can play our cards and make the most out of this life. And I want to be able to really help people or send out an encouraging word about that. It is so much power in sharing stories. So that is something that I've been working on, something that I feel like God has been called me to do. The idea has been here conceptually for a long time. It has had many different names. But now I just feel like I am walking into a new season. I'm turning 30. We're going into 2025. I realize realized like I had to really get this self-love down pack. I had to learn how to prioritize my peace and embrace like being uncomfortable, which has now set me up for a time for now to actually go ahead and get this thing like launched and going. Even though honestly, I don't feel like that I'm 100% ready. I can tell myself like, oh, you're not ready. You still need to do this. You still need to learn that. But that is not going to do anything but hold me back. And honestly, there are people waiting on the other side of me being obedient to what God has called me to do. And they're not going to get what they need if I'm not doing what God has called me to do. So even though I feel like I may not be ready, I'm going to embrace being uncomfortable and start to show up for season to season, start to show up for Sierra, start to show up for Sierra on social. So with that being said, shameless plug here, go follow the Instagram for season to season. If you are not already, follow me on Instagram, on Sierra on social as well. And the crazy thing about like Instagram, I feel like there's a easier and more direct way for you guys to really like chat with me. I love when I get your comments and questions down in the comments below. But sometimes like that stuff can kind of get lost. And then sometimes you may not want to be as direct or as personal like in the comments. So follow me on Instagram and send me a DM. I would love to help where I can. Like I said, I feel very passionate about this purpose work and I'm excited to get this show on the road. I'm going to embrace being uncomfortable, even though like I personally don't like to like publicly speak. And there's a lot of things that I feel like I may not be ready for, but I'm going to embrace being uncomfortable and we're going to just get out here and do it. And I highly encourage, if you are a person who is thinking about doing something and you're just like, I'm just not ready yet. Start to lay the foundation. Like you don't have to do everything all in one day. Rome wasn't built in a day, but you can start making those baby steps to get it started. And the next thing you know, it's like you keep making the steps. It's like you're going to arrive there. Like, and then you're going to be like, I don't even know what I was scared for because like this is meant for me. This is what I was supposed to do. And even if it's not what you were supposed to do and you totally fail at it, take it as a learning lesson and figure out what you should be doing next. So, okay. And last but certainly not least, comparison will keep you miserable. I feel like social media has set it up in such a way to where we are not focused on our own paths anymore. We are literally following the lives of people every single day. Something that I actually started to think about like earlier this year is like, there's all these trends and like trends have always been a thing, but trends I feel like used to be a little bit more exclusive like back in the day, or like you had to have like a certain kind of status or a certain kind of level or a certain exposure to know whatever this ongoing trend is. But now if you get on TikTok, Instagram, it's like, oh, Amazon finds, or I got this at Trader Joe's, you need to do this. And it's like the stores end up selling out of stuff because everybody wants the same thing. And this may sound like haterish or anything, but it just seemed like nobody has like individuality anymore. It's just like we see something, they're like, oh, I gotta have a Stanley Cup because everybody else got a Stanley Cup. What happened to us being different? And I'm not saying I don't do this because I have a Stanley Cup, but we hit these trains, these follow trains, these trend trains, and we just buy up all of this stuff. But is that something that you actually even want? I want you guys to really think about life as a timeline. Your timeline is not supposed to look like everybody else's. Your house is not supposed to look like everybody else's. Your life is not supposed to look like everybody else's. We all have our own unique path that we are doing alone. And honestly, I know people say like, all right, it's not good for men to be alone. It's not. But you also have been destined with a purpose for this life. And you can't take everybody with you through purpose. You can't copy people to get to purpose. Like you are set apart for a reason. And I just feel like life used to be more like that. Life used to be so much more different. People like can literally be set apart. But now online, everybody kind of looks the same. If you get online and you act a certain way, you dress a certain way, you might be perceived a certain way. But the thing about social media, it might not even be real. I have had times to where I'm posting like like, oh yeah, this accomplishment, that accomplishment, but you never know what's happening on the back end. I could be fighting for my life on the back end, and there have been situations to where I'm posting happy stuff online, but I'm in the bed crying. So it's like, you don't know truly what you see online if it's real. People are only going to post the good stuff online, and I'm not just saying me, but there are plenty of people where you don't see the tears, you don't see the hard work, you only see the accomplishments, and sometimes that can lead you into a space to where like you're miserable or you're jealous because you're like, oh my God, they're getting all this stuff and it looks so easy, and why is it not happening for me like that? And they're not posting that they failed 20 times before they made it that last time. So that's how you have to really start to look at comparison. Like, it'll literally make you miserable. It will literally steal all of your joy. And I will have to say, a big piece of comparison in today's time is the fault of social media. I just don't think we were meant to see each other's lives in this capacity, in this time span. Like, everything's moving so fast, we're exposed to all this information, which can be a good thing as well. So when I say like social media may be bad in this way, but just take this time to really think about how you look at social media. Look at social media as a tool. Take the time to adjust your algorithm. Take your time to find things on social media that make you feel motivated, inspired, things that are educating you versus just following, the next person. Like, what is this person bringing to you that is of value to your life? Because at the end of the day, you can spend your whole life on some social media following someone else that you're not living your life. And we're all victim to this sometimes, because even I will sit in my bed and I will doom scroll TikTok and hours would go by when I could be making YouTube videos. I could be making Instagram reels. I could be making something that is destined and attached to my purpose to be helping somebody else. But instead, I'm watching this person's freaking Ulta haul. Like, how was that helpful? Unless I'm literally looking like, oh yeah, I need to figure out, some skincare products that work for me because I'm trying to do a new skincare routine. Like, that's different. And then you should watch, and then you should keep it pushing. But sometimes we'll get on TikTok looking for one thing, and then we'll end up there for hours. And that just kind of leads me into my next point. Like, we might have to start to take intentional breaks from social media. And I'm not saying get rid of it in its entirety, because like the things that I want to do, the things that I want to grow, I need social media for them. But I just said, like, have some intentional breaks in there. Like, all right, I'm not doing social media after 9:00, or I'm not doing social media before 9:00, or I'm not doing this on my phone. Like, really set up some like standards. Like I said, self-love is a daily practice. Set up some standards, some boundaries for your life. Create some discipline around social media, because you will consume it and you will not take the time to be walking in your purpose, or heck, even living your life. People are on vacation on social media. Take the time to be present in life and just put the social media down. Like, just a little bit. You don't have to do it all the time, like, because we need it. Like, it has its benefits, but don't use it to the point to where you're not feeling good about yourself, or it's putting you in a negative headspace and you're not feeling good. Like, what's the point of that? It's no point of that. So anywho, like I said, these are 5 powerful tips that I have learned in my 20s. Whether you are in your 20s, whether you're in your 30s, whether you're in your 40s, send this to a friend. Send this to someone who may need it. This does not apply for people only going into their 30s, but this is just stuff that I realized that I wish I would have had a lot sooner. And like, we learn from each other. So what I want you guys to do is comment down below one lesson that you've learned this year, because honestly, this is a community. This is a space. I want to learn from you guys. You guys are learning from me. People in the comments can learn from each other. But that is how we can make this world a better place, is to continue to share our knowledge, share our experiences, and share our stories. So don't forget to let me know down in the comments below. Share this video with a friend and subscribe if you have not. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.